All right, we are just doing a couple quick checks to make sure things are going okay. Hello, hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, it looks like we are on. If you guys think that my mic is too quiet, go ahead and let me know, or if there's any other audio problems, or if you can't see the screen for whatever reason. We have had some problems before, specifically with people on mobile devices. It seems that desktop makes sure that there's no problems, but sometimes when we're at a lower latency, we have some problems with the picture being blurry. All right, today is not going to be too long of a live stream. We're aiming for maybe 30 minutes. Hello, Naz, welcome back. So just to get started, as you guys are listening, I want to ask you guys to do one thing. We tend to have this situation where the people start watching the live stream, and then they keep watching it as it runs instead of jumping to live. You know, right now it is live. And I want to say that I strongly recommend that you guys actually jump to where we're live so that we can have more interaction. This is especially... Naz, that's a great question about when Phil's class is, though it breaks my heart that you are asking about Phil's class instead of my class. So sad. I will answer that question in 1 second. But before we get into the schedule, guys, please, 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 if you start watching this live stream, jump to live. Don't wait and watch it like a YouTube video. It's best for you guys if you guys are watching it live so that we can have some interaction. This is very important today because I need you guys to be helping me come up with questions so that I can give you good answers. So, Naz's one last thing to remember is that you can submit your own speakings and writings, and we will mark them for free. You please send either an MP3 or a video of you doing the IELTS speaking test, or your writing, task 1 or task 2, academic or general training, to corrections@theieltsgrind.com. We are more than happy to do it completely for free. Do it now before time is up. All right. So before we move on to the actual schedule, let me tell you guys about some great news. We have, if you guys go to find this video, okay, so we are live right now. Remember, please make sure that you guys are not watching something in the past. Make sure you are live. You can do that by clicking this button. Down here, we have the document. So at any time, you guys can click this link and look at the document that we will be working on together. This way you can copy and paste sentences that you like, or if you guys are, I just read Naz's comment, that's why I laughed. Or if you guys, if I'm going too fast and you guys want to have a little bit more time to look at a sentence, you guys please click this link, and then you guys can see everything I write will be here. Okay. Also, we have our schedule in the description now. This week's schedule is right here. It tells you the day, the time, and this is Taiwan time, which is GMT+8, who's doing it, and then also what it is about. So for example, today at 7, Phil will be doing task 2 corrections. And on Tuesday at 2, so at 30 minutes before now, I will be doing a map labeling where I write it myself with your guys' input. So corrections means we are fixing someone's essay. If it is just the type, then it will be us writing that as an example, with you guys, of course. one last thing that I'm excited to show you guys. Right here, you can check out our full schedule. Phil spent some time making this look fantastic, but we've got some great features here. First of all, you can see what time it is in Taipei, so that you can compare it here. But we also have the times of some of our viewers' times, so that you can know exactly what time it is compared to Taiwan. As you can see, in Vietnam, they are an hour behind us. In Cairo, it's 8 in the morning right now. If anyone's from Egypt, hello, good morning. And in New Delhi, it is 12. So we hope that this will help you guys know what time we are going to be going. We have the entire month's schedule right here. And you can also see the playlists of all of our previous live streams. All right. So again, you can see exactly when Phil is on right here. Monday the 7th at 7 p.m. He's going to be correcting a student's essay, and 7 p.m. is 5 hours from now, 4.5 hours from now. And you can compare it to your own times. But without further ado, let's get into the meat of it. And of course, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. All right, so what we will be doing today is we will be looking at vocab that may help you on your exam. We're going to do the same thing that we did last time, where I will be giving you high-level collocations and example sentences, and how you guys respond here is very important, because if you guys are very active, then I know that these sections will work. But if you guys are not active, this will probably be a much shorter live stream. I will give you nice sentences that you guys can learn to adapt and change for your own situation. And then we will be looking at some questions for part 1, part 2, and part 3, all about the environment. Okay. So, we already talked about these. You can look at our previous live stream to look at common mistakes. We also came up with some collocations in our previous live stream, and some collocations with pollution, and some sentences on how to use it. We came up with natural disasters here, and last time we did our whole vocabulary section about hurricanes, which are very big storms. So last time someone asked to do flooding. I was about to do flooding unless one of you guys would prefer to have a different natural disaster to talk about. So, if any of you guys want me to talk about a different natural disaster, like an earthquake or an avalanche or a tsunami, or wildfires or a landslide or a mudslide, please let me know in chat, and I will do that instead or as well. So I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds to tell me in chat if you guys want me to do a different natural disaster. Okay. And while you guys are thinking about which natural disaster you would like me to do, we are going to jump into floods. So as you guys can see, you guys of course can look at the link. As I said before, it is in the description right here. And you guys can see all of the vocabulary words that we did last time, along with sentences and collocations. And now we are going to jump to floods and flooding. So, first of all, collocations with flood or flooding. Can you guys think of any words that go together with this? I'll do an easy one to get started. Big flood. Welcome whoever joined. Huge flood. And by the way, we are currently down at the bottom. I believe this is page 10. So we're on page 10 if you guys want to scroll down to where we are. Okay, a huge flood. Severe flooding. Flood warning. If you guys want, there are some high-level vocabulary terms that people may use to describe a flood if it is a flood that happens once every 100 years. So that is called a 100-year flood. And this is a flood that happens once every 100 years. Okay. So, and of course, this is talking about the size of the flood. All right. We can also have a flood-prone area. And by the way, if there's ever any vocabulary that you guys don't understand or don't know, of course you can ask. Does anyone know what a flood-prone area is? Anybody feeling brave? Want to guess? I'll give you guys about 20 seconds to come up with an answer and type it out in chat. Okay, a place that is likely to have floods. All right, so maybe you could live in a flood-prone area. Okay. Or I moved out of a flood-prone area. Again, this is the same thing as saying I moved out of an area that had a lot of floods. Or I moved out of an area where we had floods super often. Thank you, Naz, for that guess. Thank you so much. You are a super student. A place that rains often. Now, there is a difference, actually. There are some places where it rains a lot, but it doesn't flood. And it has to do with the geography of the area. But heavy rainfall we can work with. The flood was caused by non-stop heavy rainfall. And fall is optional. Can you guys think of any other reasons why there might be a flood? There's one really, you guys may not have the vocabulary for this, but floods often happen because there's heavy rain or because something breaks. Does anyone know what can break and cause a flood? Anybody? And again, if you guys are watching this behind, for example, if you're watching this like a YouTube video, where maybe you are watching from this point, remember I always recommend that you guys press live, because you can go back and watch it like a YouTube video at any time in the future. But only right now can you guys join us and be in the conversation. So, what can break? Haha, Naz, great. So the flood was caused by a dam breaking. Okay. I used the wrong dam. Apologies. That dam broke. Actually, I'll write that because it's kind of funny. That dam broke and flooded the town. Okay. Does anyone know, so probably Naz, what areas are most prone to flooding? Do you guys know the vocabulary to say that? You can explain it with low-level vocabulary, or if you know the high-level term, you can say it. But what areas are most likely to experience flooding? And that is another great collocation. My town is prone to flooding or floods. What areas experience a lot of flooding? A lot of floods. Okay. Experience flooding is a good collocation. Yep, the areas closer to river or oceans. Naz, that's right. But you are missing one little geography detail. It's not only that they're close to rivers or oceans. For example, let me give you an example. Do you think that floods will happen a lot on a town that is by the ocean but on a cliff? Maybe that will help you. You're right, they have to be near a body of water, near the ocean, near a river, but there's one more detail. If anyone can guess, go ahead, put it in chat. Naz right now is my favorite student because he is talking in the chat, but you guys can try too. So, yes, the topic is natural disasters. Anyone want to try? It's an area near water, but also, so I'll give you the low level and then the high level, so you can choose which one you're more comfortable in. So my house is at the bottom of a hill. Or my house is in a valley. So when it rains a lot, it always floods. So it is about the altitude, how high or how low you are. So my house is at the bottom of a hill. So if it rains too much, my basement floods. So these sentences that we've come up with so far are more about natural disasters, but you can also talk about when your own house floods. Okay. So these were the low-level ways to say it, because it's not only when you're next to water, it's also you have to be below the water. So my town was built in the lowlands, and so experiences flooding quite frequently. All right, and this is the higher level thing to say. In the lowlands. And let me start highlighting these really fast for the people who've just joined. And so experiences flooding quite frequently. In a valley, this is another thing that I want you guys to make sure that you are practicing doing. Don't only learn the word valley. You guys should also learn the word, learn the set that goes together. And again, if you guys are watching behind, I highly recommend that, so for example, if you're watching it like a YouTube video and it's just playing like this, I highly recommend you guys press live to make sure that you are able to talk with the rest of us. And again, our stream is here on this website, which you can find in the description here. Okay, but let's continue. Is prone to floods or flooding. Okay, and then was caused by. So I hope you guys see that these are the sentence frames that you can be using. So there's one more that I want to add here, Ooh, Naz, those were really, really good. Quite high level words that you guys can be using. So, after it started to warm up, there was rapid snowmelt. I'm not sure if that sounds right. It might be okay. There was rapid snowmelt. It sounds a little strange to me. So there was the snow in the mountains started to melt, which caused severe flooding in my area. All right, that was fantastic. Really good, Naz. Okay. And a storm surge. Perfect. There was a storm surge from a tropical cyclone, or you could also say hurricane or typhoon, which flooded my city or my neighborhood or my area. Okay, perfect. Now, these, right now we've been talking about, and by the way, Naz, that was fantastic vocabulary. But again, it's not only about what vocabulary you know, it's making sure that you can use it. The snow started to melt, which caused. Okay. It's to make sure that you can use these sentences. This is why we're doing this. So that you guys can learn these sentences and use them in your own speaking. Now, we've talked about what causes flooding. And sorry, there was one more sentence that I wanted to know, that I wanted to teach you guys. So flooding, when we're talking about natural disasters, are a huge thing. You can flood a city, a neighborhood, or an area. But sometimes you just have your basement flood. So my basement flooded because, can you think of any situations where you had your basement flood? Usually this is because something you did. We already talked about if there is a flood in the area, of course your basement may flood. And your basement is the part of your house that is underground. So below G1. What can happen in your house that causes your basement to flood? And remember, you can be a super student just like Naz by talking in the chat. If you guys can think of anything, go ahead, don't be shy. This is a safe place. What can cause flooding in your house? And by the way, I hope you guys noticed that this is a verb. My basement flooded. So you can use flood as a noun or a verb. My basement flooded because my water heater broke. This is a really common one. Okay. Also, because a pipe broke. By the way, I do want to point out the differences here. This is my versus a, just to make sure that you guys are learning it correctly. My water heater, because it's part of your house that you own. Is because it's one of many pipes. So make sure that when you're learning these sentences that you learn it exactly. Now these are sentence frames. So my basement flooded because I left the tap on, or my basement flooded because I left the water running. This is the... Now, what you were saying, Naz, was a solution, which is great. By the way, I left the tap on is okay in both British English and American English, but I left the water running, I think, is more of an American thing. More often, Americans will say the second one. Okay. All right. Now, what Naz said, it sounds like a solution. So, if your house floods, what can you do? So here we talked about residential flooding. My house flooded with water. And I'll just make this a little bit bigger. And then same here. Sorry guys, this is just to organize it for you guys. Thank you, Naz. That's what I'm hoping to do, just give you guys more ideas to make sure that you guys can say what you want to say. So here it was reasons for flooding. Like I said, us English teachers, we have superpowers. We can see what you want to say and change it to higher level English. But like I said, Naz, thank you so much for putting these up. If you weren't interacting, this would be a lot more boring. And we'd have a lot less content. So, reasons for flooding. Okay. So, I want you guys just to think about, just for a moment, if your house floods, what can you do? Can you guys think of any sentences? Or if you can't think of a sentence, you can just say a few words. That's also okay. And I will make beautiful sentences just for you guys. Again, if you guys are watching in the past, so people can be watching this like a YouTube video where they're watching right here during the live stream. Remember guys, if you can do this at any time, what I recommend you guys do is you come to live so that you can interact in the chat. Hi everyone, welcome. So, if your house floods, what can you do? We had to get a pump and pump the water out. We had to call the insurance company. Because our basement was ruined. We had to call the insurance company because this is high level. Our house had washed away. So Naz, be careful. I like what you said, but it's a little bit different. What you just gave was how can we prevent flooding or floods? So Naz said planting trees, which is good for preventing floods. Where should we plant the trees, Naz? To stop floods in the future, or to mitigate a future floods damage, we can Can you guys think of how to finish these sentences? Divert the way of the floodwater into rivers. That's really good. We should build dikes to divert the floodwater into rivers, or build dikes to divert the floodwater around the town. Okay. We can plant trees in the highlands, or plant trees in the mountains. Can you say why planting trees helps? And again, while you guys are thinking, remember guys, if you guys go to the live stream, in the description, you guys can look at the document yourself. If I'm going too fast, or if you want to copy and paste some of these sentences, just come to this and you can copy and paste into your own documents. Also, don't forget that we have our full schedule right here that tells you when we are having our classes, and then also what they will be about. Okay. But let's continue. Can you say why? Why planting trees stops floods? Into the soil. Okay. So, finally, we should build dams. So that's interesting. I believe, so trees do absorb water, but I don't think that's how they mitigate floods water. I think what they do is that the roots, they are important, but I think that they slow the water down so that it can sink into the soil. I think that's how it stops flooding. It also prevents erosion, which can make floods worse. By the way, erosion is when dirt or earth is removed from land, usually by wind or water. Okay. No, these are great. And I hope you guys see that the sentences that we're coming up with here, these are, like especially this one, to stop floods in the future, we can plant trees in the mountains in order to slow down the flood of water so that it can sink into the soil. This sentence is very high level. This sentence would give you a really good score in part 3 because you're linking a lot of different ideas in a logical way that is answering a question. So, how can we prevent floods or flooding in the future? This would be an example of something that might be in part 3. So part 3 is about topics in the abstract. So what damages are caused by floods or a natural disaster, What can we do to stop natural disasters? These are the kinds of questions that you may use. You may also use these kinds of sentences in part 2. So part 2 is going to be about your experience. So part 2 for natural disasters would basically be describe a natural disaster that you experienced. And then you can choose whichever one you want. You can choose hurricanes or floods or those kinds. And you can use these kinds of sentences to give you a higher level vocab and grammar score, because you're connecting your ideas well and you're using high level vocabulary. This is another great sentence, and you may be asking, how would I use this? Well, if you're talking about your own personal experience, you could be talking about, first, of course, you would explain what the natural disaster was, and then you would also give some your own feelings and experiences, like what you did during the flood, who you were with, that kind of stuff. But if you still have time, you could talk about things that happened after the natural disaster. So, for example, what did the government do after the big flood? And you can say, oh, the government responded really well to this. After the big flood, the government built dikes to divert floodwaters around the town to mitigate future flood damage. So I'll write that down just so that you guys can see the whole sentence yourself. The government built dikes to divert flood water around the town to mitigate future flood damage. Okay, so this would be an example of something you can do. Tell what happened, what the government did after the natural disaster. So maybe you are unlucky. So I do want to say the other thing, which is after the natural disaster, the government didn't do anything. I had hoped that they would build dikes to divert floodwater around. So I want you guys to see that it's just because it's not true, you can still use these sentence frames. Okay. It's exactly the same. The only difference is you've got to make sure that the grammar is okay. Would build versus built, which is the past tense. Okay. So, Naz, thank you so much for those sentences and vocabulary. That's really good. Do you think that that would go how to prevent floods? Or if your house floods, what can you do? Do you think sandbags would go for flood prevention, or do you think it would go for stopping the damage? Because sandbags are not quite preventing floods. So what can we do if we know a flood is coming? This is a little bit different. So Naz, I'm really glad that you're coming up with all of these suggestions, because I really want to point out that these are three entirely different situations. How we can prevent floods is talking about what the government can do, or what the government can do to stop future floods or to stop the damage of future floods. If your house floods, what can you do? These are solutions after the flood did the damage. And then what can we do if we know a flood is coming? This is what individuals can do before a flood happens. So this is not prevention. This is emergency. This is, I don't even know what to call this. Emergency, disaster, what would you call that? What you would do to try to save your property or your house beforehand. So, if you're talking about, for example, in part 2, you can say, we knew a flood was going to come after the storm, so my family and I put up a wall of sandbags around our house to protect it from the flood. Okay. And then if you want to add another emergency measures, that's great. The government provided the sandbags. This is just another detail that you're adding that will mean that you have more to say. Okay. So Naz, you're saying that in India, the emergency measures is to build sandbag walls. We do the same kind of thing. So I'm going to write that up here because you are absolutely right, Naz. They are called emergency measures. Okay, what we can do. Then over here we are going to say flood prevention, how we can prevent floods and flooding, and then solutions. Okay, so emergency measures, you can build a sandbag wall, or a wall of sandbags. And please know the collocations. We would say put up a wall of sandbags. Okay. And the government provided the sandbags is a nice little detail that you can add. These nice little details will really help enhance your answers in part 1, part 2, and part 3. Being able to come up with details is a really nice skill that you can learn, you can work on. Okay. So, we've talked about the causes, we've talked about what you do after, emergency measures that you do before, flood prevention. Again, I want to make sure that everyone is clear that these are 3 different things. Okay. So we have now worked really hard at coming up with a lot of really good vocabulary and sentences that you guys can be using. Again, at any point, you guys can, and this is even in the future, this document will be here forever, you guys can click on the document and find the sentences and copy them and paste them and learn them by yourself. If you guys ever want to change any of these sentences, to change the subject or to change who's doing it, feel free to, in the comments, put your own sentences there in the future, and me and Phil will correct them for you. This is something that a lot of students don't do, but they really should, and that is learn how to change the sentence. This is the whole point of a sentence frame. A sentence frame is a high-level sentence that you can change easily, even though you wouldn't normally say it, and you can trick the examiner. Okay, and just to show you guys what I mean by sentence frame, down here we have a really good example. The flood was caused by a dam breaking. The flood was caused by non-stop heavy rainfall. Again, the flood was caused by, you could change this And we could say the fire was caused by a this happens a lot in America right now, a gender reveal party bomb. And again, was caused by is exactly the same, but we're changing what the subject is. Okay. This is a sentence frame, and I hope you guys see that there are a ton of sentence frames that you guys can change. Feel free to make your own sentences, send them to us in the comments, and we will be more than happy to change it for you. Now, unfortunately, I have only seen Naz talking in the comments, which means that this next section will probably not be particularly long. What we are going to do is we are going to be coming up with part 1 topics and part 1 topic questions. Now, this is extremely interactive. If people are not interacting in the chat, unfortunately, this will be the end of the live stream. I can't give you any questions. I need you guys to come up with the questions, and I need you guys to come up with the topics. When Phil is doing live streams on speaking, he can give you questions, but I cannot. So, with that being said, if we have part 1 topics, and these are all about the environment. Again, this is about nature. This is not about your work environment or your school environment. I'll give you one topic to get started. Maybe volunteering, and maybe helping the environment. What is another topic? Naz, I'm glad that they're beneficial. Thank you so much for joining and being so active. You are a super student. But can you guys think of any more topics that are in part 1? Now remember, part 1 is going to be about you. So part 1 is about you, and these are topics connected to the environment. Can you guys think of any more? And then while you're at it, we can talk about part 3, the environment topics. And then part 2 doesn't actually have that many. It's probably going to just be something like natural disasters. Maybe volunteering. So I'm just going to give you guys about 1 minute to think of whatever topics you can that are connected to the environment that you may have to talk about on the speaking exam. Remember, part 1 and part 2 is about your own experiences, and part 3 is going to be about an abstract topic. All right, I'm going to give you 1 minute. Good luck. All right. Thank you for that suggestion, Naz. Yeah, we may do that. Unfortunately, it seems that these speaking streams are not super popular. So I'm going to have to ask you guys who are watching to do me a favor. If you guys could please comment and say, I would like another stream. If I get 5 comments that say, please do another speaking stream, I will do another speaking stream this week, either on Wednesday or Friday. But I will only do it if there are 5 comments that say, please do another speaking stream. Okay. And for the topic, Naz, because you've been so awesome, the next topic, if I do another speaking stream, will be technology. But again, I will only do another speaking stream if you guys leave a comment. So just to give you guys, just to show you guys what I mean, if you guys leave a comment in the video and you guys say, please do another speaking stream. If you guys leave a comment like that on this video, and so that will be this video right here. If you guys leave a comment, if I have 5 comments that say please do another speaking video, I will do another speaking live stream, but I need an audience to do so. Naz, you are awesome, but we need more people. So, let's work on this next one. By the way, hello Divox, welcome. And hello Nasreen, welcome too. Please remember to leave it as a comment after this stream is over. All right. So, and I'm so happy to see so many people here. Okay, so volunteering, helping the environment. What we're going to do next is I need you guys to help me come up with questions. Again, I cannot give you questions. I need you guys to say the questions and then I can write them down. So if we have a part 1 topic about the environment, what are some questions that you guys may talk about or have to answer? Whoa, so many people saying things. Thank you. Lone and Bill, welcome guys. Hi. Now, I need you guys to be talking in this next part. Can you guys think of any questions? I'm going to give you guys 1 minute to think of questions. 1 to 2 minutes. And don't worry if you are a slow typer. Please give me some questions that we can answer. Just to give you one example of a part 1 topic about the environment, it may be, what do you do to protect the environment? Or for volunteering, what volunteering have you done to help the environment? Okay. So what I need you guys to do is come up with some questions. And then of course, after you guys have the questions and I write them here, I will give some answers. Again, if you guys are watching in the past, I strongly recommend. So if you guys are watching in the past, so your thing is over here and you're watching it like a normal YouTube video, please press live so that you can interact and say hi. So what I want you guys to do is write questions here. Write questions in chat and I will add them. I will fix them and I will add them and then we can answer them together. So happy to see so many people watching. Thanks. And also thanks for all the likes. Yeah. So again, just 1 or 2 minutes and I need you guys to put questions in chat like the ones I have here. Please write a question. All right, I will just give another 1 or 2 minutes. Again, I cannot write questions myself. I need you guys to come up with some questions that you think you may have to answer on the exam about the environment. Take your time. If you're a slow typer, that is perfectly fine. Just be brave and add a question here. What kind of question do you think you will have to answer in part 1 about the environment? All right, I will give you guys 1 more minute, and if there are no questions here... Oh, Robin, thank you. So, and Naz, thank you. All right, Robin, what are some good habits you have at home to help the environment? Okay, that is great. What are some good habits you have at home that help the environment? Beautiful question. Okay, and just to give an answer here, I will say some things like, when I'm home, I often turn off the lights when I am not in the room. I don't always have the AC on, and what's another thing? And I make sure that I always take short showers to save water. All right, I want to point out some things. First of all, many students only say this: when I'm home, I often turn off the lights. But you really should be adding extra details here. For example, when I am not in the room. This makes it so much stronger. I often turn off the lights when I am not in the room. Also over here, I'm saying what I do. I make sure that I always take short showers. But I also say why to save water. This is something that you guys should try to practice doing on your exam. Don't only say what you do, say why, or give some extra information. All right. By the way, if you guys can think of any other good habits at home, I did the 3 easiest ones. If you guys can think of any more, feel free to leave it in the chat. And then Naz, I see that you have given me a few more. Recycling and reuse. That is another topic about the environment. Nice. So recycling. Okay. And so let me just put these up as titles. Okay. And let me also deal with a common mistake. Okay, so for reuse versus recycle, reuse means that there's no process. While recycling is reuse is specific, recycle is broad. So for example, I always recycle my plastic bottles, glass, and paper. I bring them to the recycling collection points and drop them off there so they can be picked up and brought to the recycling center. Okay, so I hope you see that there are a couple nice phrases here. Okay, and recycle means that you change it. So what recycling means is that so recycling can be tough because it has two meanings. The broad definition is that is doing something that uses less resources or you can't use the same word in the definition. That makes this hard. Okay, that uses less resources or reuses some resources. Recycling with the narrow definition, which is the real definition, is to change, to break down a product and reuse the components or ingredients. Okay. So, what I mean by that is this is the narrow definition, and this is an example sentence. I always recycle my plastic bottles, glass, and paper. I bring them to the recycling collection points and drop them off so that they can be picked up and brought to the recycling center. At the recycling center, the glass is melted down and used to make new glass products. All right. For the broad definition, I always try to recycle everything. I like to help the environment whenever I can. So when you say reuse something, it can fall under recycle. But if you're using the narrow definition, which is the real definition, this sentence, this explanation, is the best. Is melted down, and you can change glass to metal or plastic, is melted down and used to make new glass. And the key thing here is new. So you take something old, you break it, and then you make it new. If we talk about reusing, okay, this means it's very simple. It has one meaning. It means to use something again. So I would say to help save the environment, I always reuse my plastic forks and and bottles. I don't like to send them to... I'll use the word you used, Naz. I don't like to put them in the recycling bin until I have used them at least 4 or 5 times. So what this means is, let's say that I Ubered Eats or I got takeout and I have a plastic fork, and then I wash it and I clean it, and then I use it again, and then I use it again, and I use it again. That is reuse. So reduce, reuse, recycle are the 3 R's, just like Naz says. Okay. To give you a sentence that you can use with this, I always try to follow the 3 R's. I reduce by only using 3 pieces of toilet paper. I also do it by never getting disposable or plastic forks and plates. I reuse glass and plastic bottles whenever I can. And of course, I recycle all my paper, plastic, and glass products. I leave them in the recycling bin on the curb for the recycling truck to pick up every Tuesday. Okay. So, Naz, I hope that these have been helpful. And this is saying that it's a grammar mistake, but it's not. I'm using the word reduce as if it was in quotes. So this is quite high level. Yes. Again, I show what each one means, which is why it's a very strong answer. Alright, guys. So Naz, thank you so much for those comments. And let me make sure that I hit all the things you say. Okay. And like I said, guys, please make sure that when you can, that you make sure that you are watching live. So if you are back here, you are in the past, you are way behind, make sure that you are live so that you can chat with us, and you can always go back later. Also, make sure you say hi in chat, and you guys can ask as many questions as you want, just like Naz here. Also, in the description of the video, if you guys just want to copy and paste the things that I have been saying, you can find it right here. This is all of the sentences I have written, and it is open to anyone with a link. Okay, so again, unfortunately, guys, we have run out of time, but thank you so much, especially to Naz, for being so active in chat. This is what I want all of you guys to be doing. You guys have been great today. Thank you so much. Remember, if you want more speaking stuff like this, please, please, please leave a comment on this video. I will only do another speaking if 5 people leave a comment that says, please do more speaking on this video. Otherwise, we will just be doing only writing this month. Thank you guys so much for coming. You guys have been awesome. Naz, you have been a super student, as always. any of you guys can be super students by talking in chat. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for writing. Of course, that's me. Remember, if you guys want more of the IELTS Grind, please come in tonight at 7. You guys can find that here. Down here, you can see our schedule. So you can see that Phil is today at 7. But if you don't know what Taiwan time is in your country, we did a great little thing here where you can see our full schedule. And you guys can see Taiwan time here right now, and then you guys can also see a couple different countries. If you don't see your country up here and you would like your country to have a timer, leave a comment saying, please give me a timer for my city or my country, and we will add a timer here for you. You guys can see our full monthly schedule right here. So this was right now. The next one is today, Monday, at 7 p.m. It's Phil, task 2, and he's correcting a student's essay. Remember, you can give us your essays to correct. This could be you if you make sure that you leave us your essay at this email, corrections@theieltsgrind.com. Thank you guys for coming. Naz, go ahead and leave those sentences in the comments. This is for everyone. If you guys want us to check the grammar of your sentences for speaking or for writing, you can leave it in the comment of this video. You guys have been awesome, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys say hi to Phil for me tonight. Okay, bye.